Something that's quite exciting this season is that you have a load of characters who we first met in season 1, all kind of in much closer proximity again.
We've got dragon eggs. Mm-hmm. They're dragon eggs, so they're we could say they were Easter eggs, couldn't they?
Do you think Daemon deep down has a love for Rhaenyra, perhaps a romantic love, or for him is it all about power and his lust and his love for control?
I think it's all things, but I mean, look, and this is just my take on it, I think absolutely he has a huge depth of love for her, an umbilical love, a love that he believes is about kind of destiny, and is almost about being ordained by the gods, and there's a sense of kind of fatalism about it, and in many ways I think he'd sort of he'd kind of give her the earth if he could, but also take it for himself, and that's the interesting thing. You don't know, and that's what's lovely. Sort of, even I don't know. That's what's kind of cool.
We see there's moments in the first 2 episodes where he's consoling her, and it doesn't feel as manipulative as it may have in the past. So
yeah.
It's nice to see the possible progression there.
It's nice to see that there is actually a human being there, or is there? Because you never know. Maybe he's doing it with a completely different agenda. You just don't know.
I'm curious about your bond with Harry.
Look, I love Harry Collett, and we've said since season 1 we don't deserve him. He's a precious, beautiful, thoughtful, deeply thinking, empathetic person, and it's a unusual privilege to watch young people grow up on these shows and sort of develop and blossom and come into themselves and all those things. And the passage of time is sort of real, and it takes place on these bodies, and there are, there's a run of events that we've lived through now, and so there's a lot of material that's kind of easily accessible, I suppose, and real love and real friendships that are also there to draw on should you need them. That's the privilege, I think, of a recurring character.
Me and Emma, I mean, we hit off straight away, and I said this last year and I'll still say the exact same again. It feels like every time we see each other, our connection just grows stronger. And Emma is like a second parent to me, just because we'd spend most of our time together on this show, and I wouldn't really see my family when I'd be filming because I'd leave before they wake up and then come home when they're in bed. And if I was 17 when I started and I'm now 22, and I went through very sort of teenagery problems and stages and things like that, and I felt like I could talk to, and Bethany as well, Bethany and Emma about those things, and it was like a second family that I could sort of help solve my problems and tell me that I'm just young and just being stupid, or tell me to do this. And yeah, but no, it's very, very nice, and I'll forever be thankful, and hopefully we're going to keep in touch forever and ever.
I'm curious for you what it was like to act out some of those more emotional moments in the first 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I think it was the kind of material we'd been waiting for, and it felt like it was a real moment that our characters had deserved. And we've like we said, we've spent 5 years playing these characters now, so we've really got the chance to see them as individuals and as a pair, and how they sort of complement each other. I feel like we know their quirks now, and we know their habits. We know who tends to want to do things and who doesn't. And
I feel like if somebody was to hand us a script and say, this episode is just about Jason Baylor, and then they was like, but you're not allowed to prep, I still think we'd turn up and we'd be fine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's been such a blessing getting to work with this one, and we have such a good relationship outside of the show, so it just makes filming together so easy and so much fun.
What are some Easter eggs that you really enjoy in terms of the connectivity with the Game of Thrones family with this series?
Goodness, that's a huge question, isn't it?
That's a great question.
And I've watched all of Game of Thrones, and I've watched all of House of the Dragons. What Easter have we Have we put any Easter? Well, we've got dragon eggs. Mm-hmm. They're dragon eggs, so they're Easter. We could say they were Easter eggs, couldn't they? If they were hatched at Easter, we could call those Easter eggs.
Yup. I think sea smoke is related to Drogon or something in some way, but that's not really. No one really says that. In the show.
I think the echoes of the how history gets written through the show. So in Game of Thrones, people talk about the characters within our show. They talk about the dragons and that lineage and the perspective of the person telling the story. It's just people telling stories within stories throughout the whole sort of canon of the work.
And whether they are a reliable source or not a reliable source.
Like for me, you know, my character Hugh, being given the lineage. So my mum was Sarah Targaryen, who was the king's daughter, and she has this whole story of shaming my grandfather. And the fact that they gave that to me as Hugh's grandfather was actually the rider of Vermithor. And so to go into the cave and go into the bonding sequence knowing that was so exciting. But rewatching Game of Thrones and watching the other shows and hearing sort of the lines go through, it's exciting for us, it is for the fans, to tie things together and then see potentially where our story is going to go because of that. You know, how do you behave if your parent is actually somebody that does whatever they want, you know, does not adhere to what the rest of the royals want? What does that do to the people who are currently living and the jeopardy?
Also just the weirwood tree as well, having access to sort of kind of see the future or the past or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I'm curious how the anticipation for season 3 compares to some of the other notable work that you've done in the past.
Well, I think each job brings with it a different set of circumstances, and your role within that is slightly different, and so that, you know, they're all kind of different, really, if I'm honest with you, because the worlds in which you're occupying, both creatively and indeed the fandom of it, are sort of slightly. They're all uniquely themselves, but yeah, it's a privilege to be in a show that actually people are anticipating to see, and that has the reach and scale to be global in the way that a show like House of the Dragon is. It's a great privilege to be involved.
And another one of those global moments, of course, is the moment that Rhaenyra had with Mysaria in season 2. How do we continue to see that grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think theirs is a really interesting union. I think certainly their sort of intimacy and their trust grows through season 3. I think Rhaenyra's relationship with Mysaria is completely unlike kind of any relationship she's had before, and I think she's accepted on quite different terms. And there's a sort of a lateral thinking, a very different approach to the world that I think Mysaria invites. And, you know, I think something that's quite exciting this season is that you have a load of characters who we first met in season 1, all kind of in much closer proximity again, having had some time apart. And so inevitably with that comes complication.
Kicking off the season with the Battle of the Gullet. When you first got those pages, what were your reactions when you first read the scope of what it was going to look like?
How on earth are they going to do this on the screen?
How?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a lot to take in even on a script because there's a lot of action, so it's a lot of less dialogue, more descriptive, and then it's like it's you struggle to picture it in your head because you'll picture it in your head completely differently to how it is now, and it's still impactful on paper, but even watching the episode, it's like 10 times more impactful, and it's really like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I remember actually being blown away because we had incredible Sam who was in the read-throughs. Obviously, we're all reading it together, but then the stage directions and a lot of the Battle of the Gullet is just stage directions. We had a reader and he was absolutely wonderful. Do you remember? He was reading it with such like vigor, and it made us all so excited because he was like so passionately like retelling this battle. And even then, I remember thinking, how are they going to do this? Like as he was reading it, I was like, how? But yeah, it was such a special day.
As a fan myself, I completely understand the weight and, you know, the hunger for a new season of House of the Dragon, and to finally be able to share with everyone, you know, friends and family, it's a dream come true, and also you realize the impact that the show has on everyone's lives, you know. and to be a part of that, and also to be an admirer of the show, it's genuinely unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. So I'm so grateful.
So like doing a poo.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Getting it out.
Kieran, what I really like is that you three dragon riders really ride together, and you have a brotherhood with these rider dies, so to speak.
Bad boys for life.
Yo, what is it? Bad Boys 5? Yeah. We're
So, can you share a bit about how these three of you and your three characters really support your team this season?
Well, we all have different approaches to like following orders and questioning the power structure above us. So we're not just round a campfire eating lamb together and musing on it. We when we receive orders, you know, we do it collectively, and often Ulf is sticking his neck out saying something silly or pushing back, which means the rest of us can carefully navigate the temper of our bosses in the show. So we're sort of navigating the power structures and the power that we have, you know, through the whole season, and bouncing off each other. And it's great to have the enthusiasm of Clinton
And the do-goodery.
Yeah.
The do-goodery.
but it's
What they're really trying to say is that he's the only one that has a proper moral compass within the war.
How dare you?
no, it's helpful that he
No, I'm
has
joking.
eagerness, and then it's helpful that he Ulf questions things, and we sort of we're kind of looking after each other in that respect.
We're forced to look after each other.
because we're sort of flying blind.
And there is no one else in our situation. The three of us are common born,
Yeah.
but we all have nuclear weapons between our legs.
Exactly. And also, as much as we, you know, it can be tough at times, we actually need each other because we're relatively very new to this job. And the fact that we all have each other makes all of us feel safer than just having one alone.
We're very much a unit and a
Yeah,
family unit,
100%.
you know, that's been forced together.
Yeah.
We haven't chosen it. This is the unit, but we're kind of on our own because we come at everything from an angle that no one else has.
Characters as they've been put out, it's really beneficial to each of us how each of us receive and prod the orders that we're given.
Yeah.